WD-47s, and free-flowing exhaust. Hey guys, it's Alex. Today I'm here with the red car, and I'm going to go ahead and install a MSD two-step because the last time this car went to the track, I went 11:23 at 1:21. Very happy about that. And I'm going to see if launching on the Transbrake yields any gains in the 60 foot. I don't expect to get a tenth out of it. If anything, I'm going to get a better reaction time and maybe, half a tenth if so. If I can launch on a Transbrake as high as the converter will allow me to flash the car, I'm hoping that that'll get me out of the hole a little better. Slightly better 60 foot, maybe an 11.1 or a low 11.2, and see if I can somehow get the car more consistently out of the hole, cut my 60 foot down a little bit into the 1.4s. The best it's been is a 1.53 in the current configuration. So I'm going to try to install a two-step to see if that helps at all with the launch. Now the car does have stock axles, stock drive shaft. That's why on the last video I did not try the Transbrake. I did not want to break something at the track and have to tow it home. So I'm waiting for my truck to show up, and hopefully it'll show up before Friday and I can tow the car to the track and launch it on the Transbrake. It's an MSD two-step. Now this car, truth be told, did have a Transbrake setup before when it had the TVS on it. I never used it because the TVS launched really well off of foot brake. And the way you adjust the Transbrake RPM is right here at the back. Two little knobs. Right? The first one is the thousands, the second one is the hundreds. So right now it's set up to be at 3,500 RPM according to where the arrows are facing. So I'm going to leave it there. And the way you install this, guy, is basically you use this harness to basically interrupt the coil signal coming from the computer, and it'll actually go through this. Now the GT500 currently has an MSD two-step in it, also launching at 4,000, and it does the same thing. It interrupts the signal going from the factory coil, and as you can see, here's the harness that looks just like this guy. So let me go ahead and install it on this guy. We'll test it out and we'll see if we can do some street launches with the Transbrake. It'll sound cool, it'll look cool, but we'll see if we can get it installed, get it working properly, and get it to the track, testing out the Transbrake on the car. Okay, as you can tell, there is some wiring. Now, for those of you that wonder about the Transbrake, this is what my Transbrake setup. Everyone's like, oh, does it do it through the tune? No, guys. Good old-fashioned 3-relay Transbrake wired in. Then we have, seems to be some kind of trigger wire going to the button. And this guy, I believe, is the MSD trigger, or the MSD harness. So let me see if I can hook that up. Look at that, it even has the old mounting screws in there still. So hooked it up in its previous spot right there. I'm gonna tighten these guys up and run the wiring harness, test out the Transbrake. Before I hook up the Transbrake, I'm gonna show you what happens when you try the Transbrake without the MSD hooked up. So put it in drive, and then you hit this guy, and it should freewheel by itself. So basically it kind of goes into neutral, for lack of a better word. It locks reverse and first together, depending on which gear you're commanding to lock together with the 3-relay setup. Basically you can just hit it, the car will basically neutral rev to wherever. I don't want to do it too much at my complex, so I'll just try it out somewhere else so it doesn't make a whole bunch of noise. If I was to floor it with the Transbrake button on without a two-step, it'll just rev as high as the converter allows me to. The two-step allows me to leave it set at a preset RPM, so if I put it at 3,500, floor it, it'll bounce off of 3,500 the whole time, and if I lower it to 2,500, it'll stay at 2,500. I'll show you the differences. But without a two-step, it just flashes as high as the converter will allow it, and I believe it's like 4,100 RPMs with this 6F converter. All right, enough talking, let's get the wiring harness on. Okay, so the way it looks to go is this guy hooks up, these leads hook up to the MSD, and this side of the coil wiring harness interrupts the signal here. So what you're gonna have to do is basically take this guy out, put it in here, and put this guy where this guy goes. My mistake. Let me show you what it does. I'll do it all one hand. I'll do one coil with one hand so you can see. Actually, let me take this all out so you can see it a lot better. Okay. Much better. Oh, much better. Okay, so this guy goes up, push this guy down, it comes up. So this guy goes to the coil. The one that comes from the factory harness goes to the one here. So it's not the best looking setup, but it'll basically interrupt the signal, run it through the MSD, and then right back to this guy. Now, if you're running Wattbox or a two-step on your vehicle, you need to tune for it. If not, it'll throw misfire codes like a motherfucker. Okay, so this is how it looks. Just temporarily put in there. I'll zip tie it nicely. I'll basically lay it flat and zip tie it to the main harness. I'll do that on both sides, but for now I put all my lines back so there are no vacuum leaks, and it should start, because right now the signal is being interrupted by the MSD via this harness, and it is getting power. So let's make sure the car runs, and if it runs, I'll button it up, try the Transbrake. Very nice. Very nice. All right, let me button everything up, and we'll go out for a drive somewhere away from the complex so we don't make noise, and we'll try out the two-step. Okay, just zip tied it in there temporarily. I'll make it look prettier later, but it's all installed. Doesn't look terribly cumbersome. So everything should work. Everything's hooked up. Shut this guy. Interesting. What's blocking it? My leg? Oh, this guy. Well, at least I know the sensor works. What a mess. Alright, so car should start up. Take it somewhere to test out the Transbrake. Not here to make noise like an asshole. I'm considerate. As I turn on a dumped car, very considerate. Alright, let's go test out the Transbrake. Okay, so let me see where the two-step is at now. I think it's like 4,500. Let's see. I'm gonna obviously hit the button. Oh, let me get this camera view. Hit the button. So that's 3,500 RPM. So it's 3,500 here. So let me make sure it does 3,500. It shows 3,500 in the box. Sounds good. Engine sounds healthy. Not clicking and clacking all crazy. So 3,500. So, yep, we got this one's at 3, and the other one's at 500. Alright, so it's at 3,500. Okay, now I don't mind the leaves. So I wonder if the car could launch at 4,500, because I was stalling it up to about 3,800 on the trans converter. So I'm gonna go ahead and make that bottom dial go to 4 and see if the converter allows it to launch at 4,500, and see if I can take a video of it. And if that works, meaning I can launch on the Transbrake at 4,500, that's what I'm gonna try to do at the track. So let's see if we can get it to launch at 4,500 RPM. It looked good. It looked good. it is.
Because it was working at 3,500,
Yep.
but now it's not working at 3,500.
No, hold on. Odd. So let's do 3,000. Let's do both dials at 3 to make sure it's not 50-something hundred. Because if this is the first one, that would be funny. So they're both at 3, so it should be 3,300. Yeah.
The first one needs a change then. $4,200 test.
Launch it on the 2-step and see if you break one axle, both axles, or the rear end.
Or the trans.
Or the trans.
Or the bottom end.
Or the forward shaft.
Yeah, or a K-member.
Right, so there you go. I installed the 2-step to try different RPM increments, figured out which one's the actual one to adjust. So the next video you'll see is this at the track, hopefully not breaking. So thanks for listening, guys. Talk to you later.